This is not a job that we get paid for. My wife and I fix up properties.
They save old buildings and restore them.
Luckily, it's real estate. This is not a job that we get paid for. My wife and I fix up properties.
They save old buildings and restore them.
Luckily, it's real estate. This UFO thing, it's real estate.
They make beer.
It's real estate.
They make wine.
It's real estate.
And they roast coffee.
It's real estate.
That's a passion of mine.
It's real estate.
They make beer.
It's real estate.
They make wine.
It's real estate.
And they roast coffee.
It's real estate.
That's a passion.
This is not a job that we get paid for. My wife and I fix up properties.
They save old buildings and restore them.
Luckily, it's real estate. This is not a job that we get paid for. My wife and I fix up properties.
They save old buildings and restore them.
Luckily, it's real estate. You know, George and I, we work on this every damn day, and this is not a job that we get paid for. I actually have a real job, but luckily it's real estate.
They make beer.
It's real estate.
They make wine.
It's real estate.
And they roast coffee.
It's real estate.
That's a passion of mine.
It's real estate.
They make beer.
It's real estate.
They make wine.
It's real estate.
And they roast coffee.
It's real estate.
That's a passion of mine.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. Tonight, we are going to continue our journey into the Grift Zone. And there we will find two of my favorite of the Alien Con people. And, you know, I think it's just kind of funny that those two guys sat at a table at something called Alien Con. And it's very clearly labeled Alien Con. And George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell are sitting at that table labeled Alien Con. So tonight, I really wanted to be here to sort of ask the question, is the Alien Con coming to an end? It has been a very eventful couple of last weeks. First of all, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp have been caught selling a over-sensationalized, badly researched terribly investigated story of the jellyfish alien, which is, the jellyfish UAP or UFO, which is just another in a long line of mostly fake or probably fake or completely ordinary things captured on film that they hype out the wazoo as essentially alien spacecraft. And because of these recent revelations by Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, the entire alien grift squad is losing their goddamn minds. Because I truly believe that they see that UFO money gravy train coming to an absolute halt. It's not going to be very easy for these guys going forward. And but before we begin tonight's main presentation, I just wanted to give a shout out and recognize and acknowledge a developing story going on in the UFO and aliens community. That's being covered by the excellent work of Expanding Frontiers Research, Jack Brewer. This is just, I recently heard Brandon Fugel in a Spaces, and Brandon Fugel was saying that they are totally transparent. The Skinwalker crew is, I suppose. They're totally transparent. And yet, when Jack Brewer of Expanding Frontiers Research filed I'm not sure if it's called a right to know request in this situation. It's not a FOIA because these aren't federal documents. I think it's called a right to know request. But Jack Brewer filed some right to know requests and appeals with the UN County for the Phenomenon documents. After all, the local municipality is paying all of these History Channel's Secrets of the Skinwalker Scam series stars to come and do a convention there. There's all kinds of rumors and conspiracies about why is a local government giving a bunch of grifters, in my opinion, a whole bunch of money to come and do a convention for their city. They promised all kinds of economic benefits. I guess that's up to be seen. But isn't it interesting that Brandon Fugel claims that they are totally transparent? But if you file Freedom of Information Act or right to know requests in order to get the information about this local municipality who is paying these people, it's all redacted. It is all redacted, right? You're not allowed to know. So I'm going to challenge Brandon Fugel. Give us the documents, Mr. Transparency. Why isn't anybody allowed to know what the local municipality, the local government is paying your people to appear at an event? Why aren't we allowed to know that, right? Disclosure advocates, transparency advocates, unless you start digging into their money. They don't like that. They really don't like it when you know how much money they're raking in selling these false narratives, these over-sensationalized, overhyped, and under-delivered stories. They don't like it. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Jack Brewer because somebody's got to do this work. Somebody's got to force that local government to go, no, you're the government. You're the local government. And if you're entering into deals with ancient alien stars and Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch stars from the History Channel, you're entering into business relationships with them. You're using publicly taxpayer-funded money to pay these people. People have a right to know what they're getting paid. So to his credit, it appears that Jack Brewer is filing appeals. So he's got to file appeals and essentially go to court in order to force them to release the documents. This is not transparency, Brandon Fugel. You just lied in a public Twitter space. Oh, we're transparent. Unless people start digging around about the money being made, then nobody wants to be transparent anymore. Isn't that interesting? But shout out to Jack Brewer. And, of course, Erica Lukes of Expanding Frontier Research. We're going to do a whole story on this when, I'm going to talk to Mr. Brewer and find out, what the status of this whole situation is. but it is something else. It is something else, right? These people are all transparent, right? And by the way, I'm going to put into the description of the video this link to the Expanding Frontiers Research website where he details all this. EFR appeals heavily redacted Uintah County phenomenon contracts. So look at these contracts. Does this look transparent to you? Look at this page. Wow, Brandon Fugel, you guys are so transparent, right? You just said you were transparent. You're totally transparent. I can't see why anybody would release a document and then just black the whole thing out. The entire document is blacked out. Look at this. The entire document is blacked out, Brandon Fugel. Where's the transparency? I don't understand. How are you claiming that you and your crew are all transparent about things? You don't want everybody to know how much the local government is paying you guys and your crew? That's your staff from your television show getting all that government money. Oh, the Grift Squad is losing their minds today. Christopher Mellon is calling Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick a liar. You remember him, the guy who lied about a balloon being an alien spaceship. He's calling a respected real scientist a liar. The guy who stood there, Christopher Mellon, is the guy who stood there on a stage and claimed that Lou Elizondo ran a $22 million, while claims were being made, that Lou Elizondo ran a $22 million funded Pentagon UFO program when he did not. Right, Christopher Mellon? You're going to call other people liars? Looks like you and all your friends just got blasted for the fakery, fraudery, and nonsense that you've been up to for years, right? Had I borrowed or stolen videos out of the Pentagon and then got television show deals with them, got a few $1 million in public investments based on the hyping up those videos, got book deals, I might be prosecuted. I'm wondering why nobody has been, right? And it's not just the videos, Mr. Mellon. It's also what you were telling investors as a part of TTSA while you were soliciting public investments. After all, according to SEC guidelines, you're not allowed to, use deceptive tactics or lie to potential investors in order to get them to invest in your company. Where's the alien spaceship you promised everybody with TTSA, Christopher Mellon? Where's it at? We'd like to know. I don't think that you, sir, Mr. Mellon banking family, should be calling anybody a liar. But that's just me. So they're all losing their minds. The grift is coming crashing down. The layers of deception that have been used for years to create this false narrative, it's coming crashing down, and they're losing their minds. And I, for one, I can't lie. I love it. Call me a terrible person. Karma always comes for liars, cheaters. It always comes. Sometimes, however, it just takes too long, right? All this started in 2017. Years, people have been waiting to see some karmic retribution for how these people deceived everyone, lied to everyone, cheated everyone out of money, some say. We're all waiting to see some kind of justice for that. And I think it's coming. And I am aware of some more things coming, but can't talk about it. It's not classified, by the way. I'm not going to pull a Grusch on you or an Elizondo. There's no NDA preventing me. Just my word of honor. Having been gifted some additional information about some of the things that are coming. And I got to tell you, it's gonna blow your doors off what's coming about all of this, about this entire false narrative. I believe it's all going to be coming crashing down in the next couple of months, and it will be irrefutable. No amount of mental gymnastics is going to allow people to still believe these liars, deceivers, grifters, whatever. No amount of mental gymnastics is going to do it when you see what's coming. So we're going to get into the subject of tonight, however, because two of my favorite of what I call the Grift Squad, hey, it's my opinion, I'm entitled to it, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. their false facade is falling apart. And look, they've done very well, making millions of dollars selling mostly fake or totally fake stories for years now. But now, due to their abysmal track record of constantly pushing mostly fake or all fake stories, of over sensationalizing things, of overhyping, under delivering, of claiming they're doing research for years and years and years, it's all kind of coming crashing down. And interestingly, all of these people whose stories are all falling apart, Christopher Mellon, Lou Elizondo, Gary Nolan, George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, these are all the people that are pushing and profiting from the David Grusch stories, right? They're the ones propping him up. People with proven track records of garbage stories, right? But interestingly, I've got some clips to share with you. So we're going to put my fair use banner up. First, we'll take a moment to welcome in the live chat. We've already got a kind and generous person here saying, I'm not here. This isn't happening, with a kind and generous £9.99. Says, just to show support. We had an interesting exchange today, even John Greenwald is calling out the bad actors and exploiters in this topic. You are right. And I got to say, I'm proud of him. I always say this, I'm not here, this isn't happening. But first, let me make sure that I thank you for helping us to praise the cash.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Thank you very much for your kindness, generosity, and support. I always say this, that I could learn a great deal from John from the Black Vault, because John from the Black Vault is so diplomatic and professional that he can tell somebody they're full of shit without being offensive. I don't have that capability. I don't have that skill. I just start yelling, these scammers, you're a scammer, you're a grifter, right? I don't have the professional broadcast. He's like the Walter Cronkite of UFOs. He really is. And the paranormal world and the conspiracy world. I always thought I could learn a lot from the way that he does things. But lately I've been thinking I might be leaking into John from the Black Vault, because and by the way, all the gloves are coming off. That's one of the points of tonight's broadcast. The gloves, my friends, are coming off. A lot of the, let's just call them more skeptical part of the UFO community, we're tired of these grifters with their fake stories, with their over sensationalized nonsense, with their fake whistleblowers that don't have evidence. Do you know, right now, there are people on Twitter arguing with me because I say David Grusch is not a whistleblower. Whistleblowers have evidence. I've never heard of a whistleblower in my life that made claims and then waited 233 days to show evidence of his original claims. It's never happened, to my knowledge. Nobody can show me any other examples of this. But there are people on Twitter arguing with me. Look up the definition of a whistleblower in the dictionary, Stephen. He's definitely a whistleblower. Yeah, a whistleblower who can't show us any evidence. Therefore, he's worthless. He's worthless. And it is very clear, according to Dr. Kirkpatrick and other sources, David Grusch is being manipulated by all of this UFO grift squad, whose stories are all coming crashing down and falling apart. Do you remember when TTSA got, what was it, $1 million contract with the Army to study UAP material in their possession, which, by the way, came from Linda Moulton Howe, who sold more fake stories about aliens and UFOs than anybody, right? The woman's like 80. She never saw anything that she didn't think was alien related, right? That whole story was garbage, and it was a piece of a missile casing, an ordinary earthly object. Kirkpatrick just revealed that. So what's going on here? Were the members of TTSA lying to the American public in order to solicit investment funds and to get big money contracts with the government for what is essentially junk, trash? Arts Parts was trash from the beginning, if you ask me. It came from Linda Moulton Howe. But they bought it off of Linda Moulton Howe and they remarketed it. It's all falling apart. Christopher Mellon and Lou Elizondo lied to everybody. It's very clear now. They lied about everything. They lied about the spaceship they were going to build. They lied about Lou Elizondo running a Pentagon $22 million funded UFO program. He never did. They lied to investors and said, oh, we've got this UFO, this material, and it came from a UFO or a UAP, and it floats when you shoot it with a certain terahertz. No, it all falls apart. And now we've got other members of the Grift Squad, like tonight's broadcast, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. And I got to tell you, the gloves are coming off. People are getting sick of this. And people also, but before we get into the major presentation tonight, I just wanted to, you know what? I'm going to make a separate video. People who are idiots who can't do third grade math are arguing with me when I say that hundreds of thousands of dollars has been generated from the David Grusch story. All you have to do is Google, how much does YouTube pay per million views? And then even if you take the low estimate, like $5,000 per million views, well, then that would mean we only need to get to 40 million monetized views of people talking about Dave Grusch, interviewing Dave Grusch, analyzing Dave Grusch, whatever. All we need is to get to 40 million views if we take $5,000, right? If we just take these people, and by the way, that's super low conservative end of what YouTube will pay you for 1 million monetized views. It all has to do with your CPM, cost per mile. It's complicated, but even if we estimate on the super low end and say, let's say all these people profiting from Grusch with the monetized views only got the very, very low estimate end, $5,000 per monetized views. Then in order to get to $200,000 of money made, and what did I say? Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been made. We only need to get to 40 million views. Go to News Nation, you stupid people. Can you do first grade math? Go to News Nation, put in the search bar whistleblower, then do it again and put in the search bar David Grusch. Go through all of News Nation's videos. And you tell me that you can't get to 40 million views, monetized views. News Nation alone, you can get to 40 million, I believe, right? And if people really need me to do like a forensic accounting, and we'll do it on an Excel spreadsheet, and we'll show you exactly, right? People are like, you don't have any evidence of this, because I'm not an idiot and I could do first grade math. And if you can't, why should I waste my time? Go back to first grade, you idiot. All we need to get to, even estimating the very, very low end of 5,000 per million views, all we need to get to is 40 million views. And then my statement that hundreds of thousands of dollars has been generated in monetized views by the Dave Grusch profiteers is correct. By the way, just Yes Theory and that Jesse Michaels alone, 4 million views, I believe, right? We only need to get to 40. How many million views did News Nation get? How many millions of views did Joe Rogan get? We only need to get to 40, you dummy. So, no, I'm not going to do a forensic accounting for people too stupid to do first grade math. Now I'm going to put up my fair use banner, and we're going to get into some of what I wanted to share with you tonight. Oh, sorry, wrong bumper here. I always lose that one. We'll take a moment to welcome in the live chat. Also want to remind you before I forget, we are now broadcasting every single live show on our Instagram account. And it's at Truthseekers Show on Instagram. Please give me a follow over there, because I am such a late comer to Instagram. And, I'm feeling a little lonely over there. So be sure to go to Instagram. Just search for Truthseekers Show. One Truthseeker, the word show. All one word. Truthseekers Show. At Truthseekers Show on Instagram. Follow us over there. I'll be sharing a lot of images. We're also finally beginning a TikTok account. I fought this. I don't really want to do this, but several of our sort of inner circle crew here are going to help me do that. I want to thank them for that. And by the way, we'll kill two birds with one stone, because anything that we're posting on a new TikTok channel there at TikTok, it's just at Stephen Cambion. We'll also be posting as shorts here on YouTube. It should help us increase our reach. I'd like a bigger bullhorn. So some advice, apparently, coming from Dark Journalist for Dave Grusch. And it's advice that I think is very good advice. Essentially, he's telling Dave Grusch to stay the hell away from these people who keep getting caught selling fake stories. But I thought it worthy of sharing.
Now, this is very interesting because on the day that Grusch premiered on Tucker, and by the way, the interview was not very fruitful because, again, it doesn't seem to me that Tucker Carlson knows a great deal about the topic, and that's a problem. So he's kind of throwing it out to these intel people. That's not a good idea. So the very day that whole thing happens, I get contacted by David Grusch, and he wants to have an off-the-record conversation. The problem with that level of putting things out about the UFO file has always been that the people involved, they were part of an op to hide things relating to the UFO file and to bring out a false version of disclosure. This is why, I and a series of other people have done reports on them, exposing the public lies. Now, Grusch was interesting because he came forward and they did this kind of fast track through Congress. They had him up there talking a mile a minute, and then he didn't know what to say. Grusch was different in this sense that he wanted to reach out and talk about that. And all I can say, I gave him advice, which was the people that you're surrounded with around this, that's not helping your story. And if your story is legit, then those aren't the people who, they've already tried to sham the public in the last 5 years. That's the advice that I gave him. And he's welcome to come on this show and speak about the issues of the things that he's trying to reveal. It's not a News Nation fluff job. You're going to get real questions because we know about the real UFO file. And if you're bringing forward real information, and if you're at odds with that government system, then it's going to be a real conversation. But nonetheless, it was an interesting week. And you might say, Miss Olivia, that was some timing. What I can say is remarkably, the Tucker interview with Grusch and along with the Rogan one, these are not, it's like they don't know anything about the subject. To just sit there and kind of fluff the person who's talking doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of steps involved in the UFO file and the secrecy that's kept with it. And you have to be able to separate people who are intel agents that are pushing an intel theme from genuine whistleblowers.
Yeah. So good advice for Dave Grusch. Who are two of the people that Dave Grusch has surrounded himself with? They literally sat behind him in the middle of a congressional hearing. That would be George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. So I mentioned earlier that it really does appear that the gloves are coming off. And one of the indicators of that is even the most gentle, kind, diplomatic person that I know in UFO land, John from the Black Vault, he appears to be losing his patience for the Griff Squad. And I love it. I think that, him saying some of the stuff that he's saying is really helpful to the cause of actual real disclosure, actual real transparency in this field. A wiser man than me once said, in order to solve a problem, first you must acknowledge that problem exists. And I have said this many times on our broadcasts here. If you go into the UFO subject or field and you don't realize, accept, and understand that 99% of the people selling these stories are shady as hell, then buyer beware. You cannot go into this subject matter and not recognize and understand that I always say this, that it's filled with charlatans, liars, scammers, grifters, con artists, thieves, and those are just the good guys here, right? So you have to, if you're going to go into this subject, acknowledge and understand that so many people in the field of UFOs are shady as hell. It's filled with people with criminal pasts. Like there's literal con artists in this thing. Sean David Morton being one great example. He conned a whole bunch of people out of all their retirement money. He did time in federal prison. And then as soon as he gets out of prison, he's right back to the UFO grift, right? He also has superpowers, right? It is shady as hell. And people are getting sick and tired of the shadiness of this stuff. So these are some words from Mr. John Greenwald from the Black
What are your
Vault.
thoughts on the idea of condemning the con men but having compassion for the conned? It's time to see this as the UFO cult it is. The profiteers are the problem. Believers need help and route out. Well, look, that is a loaded comment, and one that I will say this to. Yes, people need to be called out. And that's why I get a lot of hate.
I
from
forgot the
people,
drug addicts, yes.
Where it's not all the time calling people out, but it's asking questions that many people are afraid to ask. And when people are afraid to answer them, you know that that's a red flag, and that needs to be pushed on. And I get myself in a lot of trouble, but I live life with no regrets. I have zero regrets for pushing back on those that make big claims. And I think that that's what we need to do. That's what we need to move forward with the mindset of, is to push back on those that are sitting on things for years just to premiere them and make money off of them. Right? That's a problem. I have no.
Yeah. And just to be clear, Jeremy Corbell sat on the UFO flare story. It was flares. They sat on that for several years. Right. And they claim that Jeremy Corbell claimed him and multiple others investigated that story for years. They brought in other investigative journalists to work on that story. I don't buy that. Not with the piss poor job they do covering the story. They get everything wrong, right? And they do the lie by omission and pretend it wasn't flares. It was flares. They should have known it was flares if they actually investigated the story for 2 years. These are not honest people. These are lying scumbags, in my opinion.
Problem with people writing books. I have a lot of problems with people writing books and saying that they are going to give you never before heard information, even though they've already said that before, but all of a sudden, like, new stuff comes out for the book. That type of false misrepresentation of things it gets to me. It irks me a lot. So that is something that we all should point out, and we should all push back on.
Yeah. And imagine if there was more skeptical voices like John from the Black Vault, or, me, or some of these other people. Imagine if there were so many people calling out the bull that they couldn't do it anymore. How quickly could all of this change? But it's just this whole situation with the Griff Squad is just, it's insane to me. Like, in no other field in journalism or storytelling can you get caught selling completely and totally fake stories over and over and over and over again and just keep going with a career, a very lucrative career. And I agree with John. I don't have a problem with people writing books, making money. But when you're doing it and you're doing all this dishonest, shady, scummy stuff in order to do it, things like Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp have been caught doing over and over and over again, I don't understand why you still have a career. Why are they not banished from this thing, right? I guess we need like a Judge Dredd of ufology who's going to run around and just like take out the Griff Squad. That there was a time when I thought, I truly believe this, how naive I was. I'm like, well, if I start exposing these fake stories, these people aren't going to be able to keep doing this. And I got to tell you, even I have been shocked, surprised, and amazed even that I could literally expose Linda Moulton Howe, for example, for selling completely and totally fake alien pictures. We got her dead to rights. You can't argue. We researched it. We reached out to a Brazilian artist. We had to translate his interview to prove that she was lying and that he created these images from CGI, right? And 3 days after our report that she got caught selling a completely, totally fake story, she does a new live stream on a new, probably fake story. Not a single dent in her numbers. None. It didn't affect her at all. Bitch just rolled off. She's just like, fuck Steve Cambion. I'm going to keep selling these fake stories. Can't hurt me. She just brushed it off and went right on selling more fake stories. And this, more than anything, is what makes me think about quitting this show, or this, this whole, what some people will call a crusade I've been on, I just think, like, if I can just destroy somebody for, not destroy, that's not the proper word, but if I can totally expose somebody for being dishonest and purposefully selling completely and totally fake nonsense to stupid people, and there's no effect on that person's income, she's still booked at Contact in the Desert. Why is she booked at Contact in the Desert, right? And I don't even want to get into that because I hear they're trying to clean it up, but I don't believe it. If you were trying to clean it up, you wouldn't book people that keep getting caught selling people fake pictures of aliens as totally real pictures of aliens, man.
Because you said compassion for the conned. I've learned this so many times over the last, especially the last 7 years, but quite a bit over the last 27, in that people are so genuine. Truly, the majority are so genuine with what they want from getting involved in this conversation. Some have experiences that I believe they really want to know the answers to. They're not trying, most of them are not trying to sell you what they experienced, but rather they're trying to understand it.
Yeah, I just want to say that I have been contacted by many, many very genuine, nice people who had a personal experience and are just trying to understand it. And, you know, I always kind of feel bad for those people because don't come to me for answers because I don't really have any answers. You know, I have a general understanding of some things, but I have more questions than I have answers. And I'm sorry if I can't be more help to those people. But here's what happens. All of these people go to the UFO community to try to understand or explain what happened to them or their experiences. And they get used, manipulated, and lied to by a vast majority of these personalities in this genre or subculture.
Others, I think, don't have experiences, but they want answers. They're curious. That's where I was at the age of 15. I've never experienced anything. That's where I still am now. So I think you have a lot of genuine people out there that, yeah, it really, forgive my language, pisses me off that people use that to their advantage. And that's what you see. They'll put a huge water jug out and say, give cash to me.
This is great.
And I will give you answers. And they take your cash and they disappear. And you never see it again. You don't really see anything. Now, that's not an analogy or some hypothetical. I've literally seen that numerous times over the years. And those water jugs get full of cash, 20s, 50s, hundreds, and a lot of them.
I think a better analogy might be a begging bowl. They all put the begging bowl out, you know, like, well, the begging bowl is a Buddhist concept. For those unaware, there's some Buddhist monks that they don't eat unless people put food in their begging bowl. They put a bowl out, you know, and it's interesting that a lot of these UFO grifters, they all pretend to be poor, right? Like, look at Jeremy Corbell at the beginning of our broadcast. By the way, we want to thank Non-Controlled Disclosure on Twitter. I borrowed that from them. I hope they're okay with me using that. It is fair use, but so they put the begging bowl out and they pretend that they're just hardworking, you know, really looking for the truth behind these alien stories. And, you know, or we've got people like Stephen Greer. He puts the begging bowl out. Oh, I need $500,000 to make a documentary film, half of which will be from a stock video website. You know, like, it doesn't add up. The begging bowl is not what it appears to be. And I agree with John. These people put that begging bowl out. They claim if you just give them a little bit of money, you're going to get the answers. It's a big con. Come to this UFO convention for $800. You'll get some answers. No, you get the same old regurgitated fake stories, badly sourced, bad evidence. You get the same crap over and over again. They don't have any answers. They don't know any more about this than you probably do. So be cautious when giving anybody money.
And it just kind of disappears. And that stuff makes me upset because you're taking that genuine curiosity, the genuine experiences that people really, truly have been affected by, and you're profiting off of it. And that irks me. Now, taking a little bit away from the emotional part of it, yeah, it irks me also to see people like Jeremy and like George nowadays that are like dangling carrots all the time.
Yeah. Oh, big drops coming, big things coming. They're always dangling the carrot in front of these people and expecting money in return. They're not waiting 2 years on a video they got 2 years ago so that they could properly research it and, get to the heart of the mystery. They're saving that video until they can monetize it to its fullest. Like, oh, we're going to get this Tubi deal, so we'll use this 2-year-old video that we've had for 2 years. We'll claim that we investigated it. We'll make all kinds of fantastical false claims about the video. We'll get every detail of where the video came from, what it was filmed by, completely and totally wrong, but we get the money, so who cares? It's like I said, this whole world is filled with these shady characters, and you have to recognize that. And I, for one, I was shocked that he's naming names now. Like I said, the gloves are coming off, and if you think this is good, wait till you see what we have next to share for you. Oh my goodness.
What's the point of that? If you want transparency from the US government, then be transparent with those around you that depend on you, that trust you for the information that you claim you have. And I think to a point they do have some information. But again, it comes back to, I don't think it's hoaxed. I don't think they're trying to pass off CG to all of us, but rather I believe that they're purposefully missing context, not giving it to you, omitting it.
Yeah. And remember, in the original Jellyfish reporting, and by the way, they've lied about this. George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell sat on their own podcast and said, well, we didn't say what it was filmed from. No, Jeremy Corbell claimed that video was taken from a weapons platform. And I'm here to tell you, an Aerostat is a surveillance platform. It's not a weapons platform. How could you have researched that story for 2 years and got such a pivotal, important detail of the story completely and totally wrong? No, he said it was filmed from a weapons platform, I believe, to make the story more dramatic.
That way they can kind of dangle that carrot in the way that they do. And yes, I'm sorry, they're profiting off of it. And where do we draw the line on that? It's okay for people to support their work. I support anybody who, again, writes a book. I support anybody who has a paywall. I don't agree with that. I don't have them. But if they decide that they want to do a paywall, fine. If you want to make big promises, expect to be called out. If you've got a $20 a month price tag for your blog and you're promising insider information, sorry, you're putting a target on your back from some people, and one of those might even be me.
Yeah, I think John's going to have the gloves coming off in this coming new year. And by the way, I want to congratulate him because I just went through this. He, he's a family man like me, and he had some kind of situation, where he's got to move where he works or his office. So he's building a new studio. Good for him. Congratulations. And he's mentioning that he's going to be producing a lot more content in the coming year. I can't wait. And by the way, just search for John Greenwald on Amazon. A good way to support John would be to purchase his book. Maybe we'll do a review of that.
Because I don't agree with that. But look, if they do it and people want to sign up, go ahead. But it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be called out. And I think that genuine, I don't want to call them the conned, but I mean that genuine group of people, that's why I get passionate. I have seen people face to face over the years, thousands of people, thousands of them. I've spoken at a ton of conferences over the years and met thousands of people. And there are amazing individuals out there that just want the truth. And it pisses me off to no end to see people take advantage of that. And they continue to take advantage of that. And at high noon, we'll go ahead and sell you something else because they're taking advantage of it.
Those high noon drops, of course they're taking advantage of it. And they're maximizing the potential profit every chance they get. While Jeremy Corbell is lying to people in his own docuseries, claiming that him and George Knapp don't get paid for UFOs. By the way, Jeremy Corbell, are you ever going to address that? You can explain how you're such a liar that you could stand there with a straight face and claim that you and George Knapp don't get paid for UFOs? Are you ever going to correct the record on that with your $1.8 million house and your $130,000 SUV and your 3 documentary film deals all surrounding UFOs with Orchard and the money that you get from your monetized podcast? Great. If you don't make money with UFOs, turn the money off. Turn the monetization off on your podcast. Let's see you do that, Mr. I don't make money from UFOs. How much did you make last month from YouTube alone? The fact that he's willing to lie so boldly Like it's into, in my opinion, it's into like sociopath, psychopath territory. If you're dumb enough or bold enough to lie that boldly, when anybody can do a Google search and see that you just bought a $1.8 million property, you got 3 film deals, all surrounding UFOs, you're going to stand there and say, I don't get paid for UFOs? It's ridiculous.
I'm sorry, that needs to be called out. You don't sit on things for years and claim you're back checking it and doing background and so on and so forth, because when it's actually revealed what it is, there's no way in heck you were doing much. Sorry, that sounds rude. That sounds mean. That sounds like an attack. Oh, well, that's the God's honest truth. If something came across my desk, I am not going to sit on it. I will verify it, but I can do it rather quickly. And if you can't, then maybe it's not worth putting out. Of course, it's a case-by-case basis. But regardless, you don't sit on something for years and then sell it through TMZ, right? I that's just me. If people call that an attack, so be it. But it's the genuine people that are out there, and that is why I'm here. That's why I do what I do. And that's why I move forward with FOIA requests, trying to educate the public as much as I can, and in the same respect, trying to learn as much as I can, because I want to make sure that when I do videos that are not tech checks like this one, that we're putting out as the best information that we can. I say we because we're all in this together. I'm not any better or worse than anybody else, but I try and make sure that I give you all of that information that I can, and I would wish and hope that others would want to do the same. Sadly, they don't. So should we call them out? Absolutely. And I will continue to do so. And you know, the echo chamber that loves to attack me on Twitter because they think like it's all about Twitter. They don't know anything beyond,
that's
Twitter, problem. X. I know.
A huge problem. I think it was Spooky who was just saying like that real researchers don't even go on UFO Twitter. I mean, I do because I get a lot of information from there, but a lot of people don't know anything that is going on outside of UFO Twitter as far as the subject goes. And that's a huge problem as well, because that whole UFO Twitter becomes a big echo chamber for many. You know, the UFO Twitter crowd, the people that go out, and if you say anything that's against disclosure, well, it's not even against disclosure. It's just you don't believe that it's happening, but they think you're the Antichrist. So they're just going to come at you full bore. Yeah. I'm sorry. And by the way, John's got a huger bullhorn than me, so I get it a lot. I just can't even imagine how much he gets it. But you could look at his Twitter threads. You know, the guy will post something that's completely, totally, factually accurate, and he just gets like 100 comments from true believing zealots, you know, telling him that he's CIA or he's part of the cover-up, he's a disinformation agent, and a lot nastier stuff than that. Like these people, they floated rumors about John that were untrue. And being a family man myself with wife and children, like you don't want people spreading the kind of rumors that people were spreading about him. And what was his sin? He dared to question this whole UFO crash retrieval narrative that's been going on for how many years now? Sorry, that is not what this field is about. Excuse me. It's not what this field is about. It's not why I'm here. And so, yeah, you just let them live in their echo chamber, and we'll continue to call out those that are kind of outside that echo chamber, but they're preaching to it. And those are the ones that, need to be called out, and I'll continue to do so. So that's my rant. That's his soapbox. Yes. And I think best of luck. I always say this, God bless John from the Black Vault, and God bless his father too, who he was very close with. He recently lost. I was very sorry for his loss. I lost my father when I was very young. And it's really, really tough when that happens, right? There's points in everybody's lives where you know, things change, and life without your father is a difficult adjustment. So I'll keep him in my thoughts and prayers, and you should as well. I always say God bless John from the Black Vault, because he's doing things that nobody. You want to sit there filling out FOIA requests for 8 hours a day to get this information that we all need and want and desire? Nobody wants to do that. He does it. So go buy his book, support John from the Black Vault. I sure do, and I hope that you will too. And like I said, The gloves are coming off, baby. It is getting good out here. But before we get to the big, you will not believe some of the things that are coming out. And like I said, the gloves are coming off. You know what? We're just going to get right into it. So, for those unaware, one of the biggest critics of Bob Lazar, besides me, perhaps certainly more recognized than me, he's done a few huge podcasts. Danny Jones' podcast was one of them. Is Jeremy Rise, alien scientist. And I got to tell you, I think he, like John from the Black Vault, has just had enough. Like, what you have to realize and understand is that everybody that stands up to this false UFO narrative and to the Griff Squad, we all take an incredible amount of abuse. I've detailed here how I've been doxxed, my family threatened, my wife threatened by name. More people are saying that I'm a criminal with no evidence. No, I'm not. Anybody can do a background check on me. I have no criminal convictions, arrests, anything. People are calling me a sex offender publicly in Twitter posts. Of course, they're nameless, faceless Twitter accounts, brand new. By the way, that's another thing I've recognized recently, and I've talked about this many times. Go look on my Twitter when I post something, and look how many nameless, faceless, brand new Twitter accounts tell me how wrong I am. Why is it that almost all the accounts on Twitter that are white knighting or defending the Griff Squad members are all brand new, nameless, faceless Twitter accounts? I believe that there's some kind of, whether it's public or private, government or not, there is ample supportive evidence of a perception management operation taking place every day on UFO Twitter. And if you want to see what I'm talking about, then go on UFO Twitter, use the hashtag UFO Twitter, and start being critical of people like George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, Lou Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, Gary Nolan, Eric Davis, Dave Grusch. And what you will see is you will see a multitude of brand new, and I mean a year or less, in some cases a few months or less, brand new accounts with no real face. And, you know, they've always got some, you know, like Disclosure Champion 468 or so, you know. And, you know, what I realized recently is that I think that, and this is my opinion, I freely admit that, but I'm entitled to it. I think that there is some perception management operation going on Twitter. And I keep reminding myself, like, I'm not going to spend time arguing with a nameless, faceless Twitter account. You can see my face. You can see my name. You know, why can't I see yours? I think, and we've already shown that it's been proven. Lou Elizondo admitted to using sock puppet accounts to argue with his critics on Twitter. So when I post something about Dave Grusch and all these nameless, faceless Twitter accounts start coming at me, how do I know that's not Elizondo or Grusch? After all, Elizondo admitted that they use these fake accounts, right? It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. And, you know, and by the way, just to be clear, sprinkled in there will be a few real people, but the vast majority of the people that are defending Grusch, defending Lou Elizondo and more, they're nameless, faceless, brand new Twitter accounts. Why is that? I'm going to do a story just on that. And I'm going to talk to somebody who is literally an information warfare specialist, and we may get some clarity on this issue of all these nameless, faceless, brand new Twitter accounts, who, by the way, spend 8 and 12 hours a day harassing critics of the narrative. I don't think that's a coincidence, right? So I mentioned Jeremy Rise, alien scientist, friend of the show. He's been one of the most vocal critics of Jeremy Corbell. But when I mentioned the gloves are coming off, whoo, boy. So here's what happened. Apparently, Jeremy Corbell emailed. Listen, this is important. Jeremy Corbell is literally saying he wants to murder Jeremy Rise, alien scientist, in a private email, which somebody shared with Jeremy Rise, alien scientist. They're both Jeremy. So I'm just going to say Corbell and alien scientist going forward for clarity, so you know which one I'm speaking of. So apparently, Gene Huff has been in communication with Jeremy Rise, alien scientist. And wait till you hear some of this shit. This is the tea, and it's all getting spilled. And for those unaware, Gene Huff was the original sort of business partner of Bob Lazar. And he was there to see the test flights, allegedly. Well, not allegedly, he was. And Gene Huff was Bob Lazar's sort of business partner. The first VHS tape that they sold in the back of science magazines was co-produced by Bob Lazar and Gene Huff. Gene Huff introduced Bob Lazar to John Lear, where they got all that Billy Meyer material. And suspiciously, Bob Lazar's spaceship looks just like the Billy Meyer beam ship, or incredibly close to it. And he got to see all those images just a month or two before he suddenly got a job working on alien spaceships at Area 51 S4. Anyway, it appears that Gene Huff still believes Bob, but it's my take that Gene Huff was not very, he did not take kindly to him and John Lear being completely cut out of the Bob Lazar story for George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell's film about Bob Lazar. After all, John Lear and Gene Huff were there through the whole Bob Lazar legacy. They know the whole story inside out. Why were the two of them not included in the Bob Lazar film? It's also important to note that Gene Huff used to be a direct business partner to Bob Lazar. He's the one who wrote the Bob Lazar screenplay that they try to sell to a Hollywood movie, you know? He's the one that co-produced that VHS tape that Bob was selling. Also, I believe he had some part in brokering the Testers Model Corporation deal with Bob Lazar. He also would sort of be Bob's business agent when Bob got deals like, here's this much money for talking in a documentary or doing a live event. And I don't know, but the rumors are that Gene Huff is really not happy about getting cut out of the Bob Lazar money. I don't know if that's true, but it kind of makes sense. But it's pretty interesting. Like I said, the gloves are coming off. An alien scientist is spilling the tea. And he's going to share these emails, which they just blew me away. And I can't believe not more people are talking about this. I think maybe a lot of people missed this. So
yeah,
we're going to bring it to you. And like I said, the gloves are coming off. It's not just John from the Black Vault or me or Alien Scientist or so many others now, Green Street and others. It's not just us starting to speak up and take down these shady Griff Squad members. It's more people. There are more critical voices rising against this whole narrative. And like I said, I think the next couple of months are going to be really interesting. And I don't mean, to hold out the carrot myself. I was just critical of that. I'm not selling insider secrets. I'm just telling you that more is going to come to bring clarity to who these people really are, some of the things that they've done in order to make this UFO money. It's all going to come out. And it's going to be a great couple of months if you're on the side of real truth and real transparency. Let's get these bums out of here.
These guys will never, I don't think they'll ever debate me, but hey, the challenge is on the table, Jeremy. You pick a platform, get it set up, man. We'll charge pay-per-view for that because people will watch that, bro. And I've already said, if you want to make it into we'll go on Joe Rogan and we can do a cage match because he's said in emails, that he wants to physically kill me. Jeremy Corbell has said this. So I'm gonna bring up some emails.
Yeah, so isn't it interesting? Jeremy Corbell is literally sending people emails about alien scientists saying he wants to murder him. Like, what? You want to murder a critic of yours? You want to murder somebody that has facts and evidence? And by the way, it's understandable that Corbell would want to murder alien scientists because besides me, alien scientists has done even more than me to expose the Bob Lazar grift and the Bob Lazar lies. He has systematically taken apart the whole mythos of Bob Lazar. So I guess it's understandable that was his biggest cash cow film, the Bob Lazar thing. And along comes Alien Scientist, just destroys Corbell, right? And if you really care about truth and transparency and disclosure, Jeremy Corbell, why won't you debate somebody that knows the rest of the story about Bob Lazar that you conveniently leave out of your film in order to sell your lie? That's what Corbell does. He sells lies. But this is good because Alien Scientist is going to spill the tea in these emails where Corbell literally says he wants to murder Alien Scientist, a critic of his Bob Lazar lie.
Right now, and start reading them. Stuff I've never shared before. Because I'm ready to, you know, this is it, man. This is what people want to hear. People are fascinated with Jeremy Corbell. He's the man, he's the hero. He's getting hundreds of thousands of views. So people want to hear me talk about him. We're gonna talk about Jeremy Corbell tonight. Okay. Let's find an email here. Okay.
And by the way, he's got a lot of emails from Gene Huff. A lot of them. This is just going to be a one or a couple, I think. He's got a lot more for you, Corbell. A lot more for you.
I gotta find all these emails.
Like I said, the gloves are coming off. People are getting sick
So,
of these people.
Here's the forward messages from Bob, right? I'm gonna bring this up. I don't want people to see my all right. I don't know if you guys can see this.
Yeah, that's Jeremy Corbell's wife's artwork.
So I can
it looks like
show it for you.
Trash to me.
Showing. I gotta do the window share now again. Sorry about
Probably
that.
right.
Here it is.
Why,
I don't know if you guys can see this, but it says, subject, you should warn Lear and Gene. Hey, Bob, I saw this posted on a live interview I did today. See attached image. This is that alien scientist guy who's your loudest detractor. So he knows that I'm the loudest detractor of the Bob Lazar story. He knows who I am. Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, just to be clear, this is an email that Jeremy Corbell sent to Bob Lazar, who then forwarded it to, I believe, to John Lear and Gene Huff.
Okay. But he'll never mention me or talk about me on. We'll always talk about the debunkers and say debunkers beware. Okay.
Yeah, debunkers beware. But he's too much of a chicken shit coward to actually face them. And along with Jeremy, I'd be happy to challenge Corbell too. But debunkers beware. But I won't address anything that they show. Right. I won't address all the discrepancies in Bob Lazar's story, all the lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. Right. Debunkers beware as I run away like a little bitch. And that's what Corbell does. He runs away from us like a little bitch.
Okay. George can tell you, but his name is Jeremy Riss, and he is reaching out to and making contact with both Gene and Lear. This is the guy that posts the most vile shit about you and me and about G-Man. I blocked all his accounts, but if you heard the shit he posts on his YouTube account about all of us, you would want to physically kill him.
So there he is, talking about killing one of his biggest critics. Does that sound like an honest man to you? Or does that sound like a deceptive, shady scumbag who's been caught lying and is contemplating, like, how do we shut this guy up?
Okay.
Oh my God, he's ruining the
Copy that and
grift.
post it right into the chat. Okay. You would want to physically kill him. Okay. You won't say that. Okay. I urge you, Bob, because I can't reach out to the other UFOns about it, but of how they feel about me. But I urge you, and make sure Lear and also Gene never get on the phone with this guy. Lear, never again. He's very bad news.
Yeah. So here is Jeremy Corbell actively trying to stop people from investigating the Bob Lazar story with two of the original eyewitnesses or ear witnesses, whatever. He's actively trying encouraging people not to talk to a so-called debunker. Debunkers beware. Then why do you have to block people from talking to people? You coward. Why do you have to manipulate people to not give information to people who are blowing holes in the Bob Lazar story? If the Bob Lazar story is so good, people should be able to talk to anybody, right? No, that's not the case. And this shows the deceptive nature of Jeremy Corbell and how he manipulates people, places, events, and stories in order to profit and stop people from proving the stories he sells are fake. If he had nothing to hide, why is he trying to hide witnesses of the Bob Lazar story from people investigating the Bob Lazar story? And by the way, I truly believe that he does so out of fear because he knows the story is fake. And look how good Jeremy, excuse me, I got to keep saying this because they're both Jeremy. Look how good Alien Scientist has done destroying the Bob Lazar story without the conversations with John Lear, without the conversations with Gene Huff. What is Corbell so afraid of that he is actively trying to manipulate Bob Lazar to get him to manipulate John Lear and Gene Huff not to talk to a researcher? And anybody could say whatever they want about Alien Scientist. He's a researcher. The guy's got, what has he got? Thousands of videos researching real, a lot of weird science, quasi-crystals. He's got a proven track record of doing good research. Why would Corbell try to block a researcher from being able to talk to people involved in the Bob Lazar case?
He's a wimp. And if he talked to Gene or Lear, he will find a way to twist it all to damage everybody. Buddy, I didn't do any of that, okay? I'll publish the words exactly as they're written. I'm not going to twist anything. I just want the truth, man. The truth that you've covered up and kept hidden. For the last 5 years, I've been sending it to you. I've been posting it on Facebook, on Twitter, everywhere. You blocked me. You delete all my comments on YouTube. You're trying to hide this.
Yeah, and by the way, I just want to chime in here in support of Alien Scientist. Anybody that knows the real Bob Lazar story, Jeremy Corbell has to block. He can't let his followers see this information. He is actively trying to stop real researchers from posting the real truth and the real information. Anybody who is critical of the Bob Lazar story, he blocks. I'm blocked, by the way. Recently, I used to give George Knapp a lot of credit because Knapp never blocked me. But I just checked on Twitter. Knapp blocked me on Twitter now. And why can't you guys just address what these researchers like Alien Scientist and me are finding out about the Bob Lazar story? Why do you have to have an echo chamber? Why can't you let your followers see that information? Could it be because you can't dispute the real truth that people like Alien Scientist and me are trying to tell people? And it's unfortunate, but bigger bullhorn wins. Corbell's on Joe Rogan and whatever, so he gets a bigger bullhorn. And the real information about the Bob Lazar story doesn't get out to the millions of people who are consuming the fake information about Bob Lazar coming from Corbell and Knapp. What are you so afraid of? Why don't you unblock everybody? Why don't you let your viewers and fans see the whole story? I've done this how many times? They give you this. Here's the parts of the story where Bob Lazar's story may be true. Here's all the parts of the story that prove that Bob Lazar is a convicted pimp, a liar, a scammer, bankrupt. His wife was a convicted murderer. He's literally married to a convicted murderer. Throw that out. Don't give the audience that. Just give them this. Same thing. Here's my social media. I'm Jeremy Corbell. All of those critical voices, we got to throw them out. We can't let people hear that because then they'll know the entire story is fake. Jeremy Corbell is an intellectual weakling and a coward. and the story is so piss poor and weak, and he knows it, it can't withstand any debate, any criticism whatsoever. He's got to block everybody so that his followers don't see that information, because Corbell has no answer for that information, because it conclusively proves he sold a lie to everyone.
Trying to hide the information, you think that the game's not going to be up on you, bro. Let's
And by the way, this is 100% proof that he is trying to block people from even having a discussion about these issues.
Corbell being nothing. Okay, I want to find
And by the way, apparently Gene Huff is really not a fan of Jeremy Corbell, and to a lesser extent maybe Knapp.
some of this stuff.
These are all the emails
Corbell
between
being nothing.
Listen, a lot more is coming out. Look at all these emails between Gene Huff and alien scientists. Look at all these emails, right? And Huff knows a hell of a lot about the whole Bob Lazar story. Why is Jeremy Corbell so paranoid that he's willing to manipulate people to stop people from talking to original witnesses to the story? Why is that?
Great. Okay. Boom. All right.
Oh,
This
is great.
So I finally caught COVID. Anyway, the project Gravator.com is a project by a guy named Luigi Vinatelli out of Montreal. His original idea was to replicate the S4 installation, but now it's turned into a video and book. Before Luigi got to meet Bob, he called me on successive weekends and talked, literally for 4 hours at a time, 4 weekends in a row. Then he flew out here and met Bob, and he's never spoken to me ever again. As soon as he got the introduction to Bob through Gene, he never spoke to Gene again.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting? All you people that say Bob Lazar never made any money, Corbell and Knapp and Bob Lazar have perpetuated the falsehood that Bob Lazar he's not doing this for money. He never makes any money. Well, he just got one book deal from Tom DeLonge and To the Stars Academy, after which he purchased, what was it? I think $500,000 property right after the book came out, right? And now he's got another book deal and another documentary deal with this other guy. But Bob Lazar's not here for the money. He's not making any money at this. Just like George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell don't make any money off of UFOs. Sure. They're all just doing this for shits and giggles, right? Nobody's making any money, but everybody keeps getting book deals, documentary deals, but there's no money in UFOs, right? We're not making any money off of this. They're all liars.
Bro, I don't even want to talk to Bob because I'd rather talk to Gene. Gene's the man. Before Luigi got to meet Bob, he called me on successive weekends and talked literally for 4 hours at a time. Okay, I did this already. I'll tell you this, though. If it's intentionally to fuck me, I will write a book that nobody, not George Knapp, not anybody can match. However, Luigi got to know me pretty well for our exchanges, and I don't believe he thinks he could ever produce a book of consequence without me. That's not egotistical, but that's just the way it is. And he's telling the truth. I mean, people would call Gene Huff, say he's got an ego, but dude, this dude's the real deal, man. Oh, God, Gene, I hope you come forward this year, man. I hope this is the year. I've been trying to get him to go on Danny Jones' podcast, try to get Gene Huff to come on my podcast, man.
Yeah, Gene Huff may be ready to blow, right? That sounded dirty. I didn't mean it like that. I mean that Gene Huff knows so much about the whole history of the story and the case, and people have been trying to get him to do interviews forever. And I, for one, hope that he does, because it'll shed a lot of light on the whole situation.
I hope he'll do it. And won't get me in that for free. However, that motherfucker has about $1 million invested in this project already, and that's without Bob getting a penny so far.
Yeah, so the new Bob Lazar film, that person invested $1 million into the film so far, according to Gene Huff. Like I said, lots of information here. This is data-rich email.
We're not even sure how he plans to make his money back off all of this. However, it appears to me that he's trying to load up on all this so he can get a movie deal in the future. However, I'm just now rewriting my S4 Bob Lazar script, which was originally registered to the Writers Guild West. So he's got a Bob Lazar S4 script. This is cool. I'm glad you figured out that Corbell does nothing but takes other people's contributions and act like he's involved. I'll give you the real story about Corbell and Knapp and that Skinwalker video of theirs.
This is great. This is the tea being spilled all over George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell, and it doesn't paint them in a very kind light.
George had made friends with some British pop star. I can't remember his name, but George and this guy were going to fly up to Skinwalker Ranch and hang out overnight. There was room on the plane, so George talked them into letting Corbell tag along. He contributed nothing and knew nothing, but so George could legally sell it, they acted like Corbell was involved.
Yeah, and here's another stunning revelation. There's a reason that George Knapp is helping Jeremy Corbell. And it's not because he wants to mentor him, and it's not because he wants to teach the younger generation how to grift like him. It's part of George Knapp's grift, apparently. He needs somebody else involved because of legal entanglements, and we're going to get all that info here. It's wonderful.
I literally sat next to Corbell at his premiere here in Las Vegas, and every time there was a great wipe, I'd compliment Corbell on it. After the 5th time, he said, "That wasn't me, that was George." I realized that he didn't do anything but be in a video with them sitting around a fire. Corbell now acts like it's his project, so George doesn't violate the rules of his contract as the CBS affiliate here in Vegas, which owns his voice and likeness.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Little bit of a financial shell game going on. Maybe we got to reach out to KLAS or wherever the hell George Knapp works. I forget the name. He works for a Las Vegas television station. Apparently, George Knapp can't be the head of a project. He needs somebody else to do the project because his employer owns his name and likeness. So he needs Corbell in order to do extra projects to get those UFO dollars. That's Corbell's place in this. Corbell is enabling him to make more money and get out of the legal entanglements and contracts. Does this sound like honorable things honorable men do? Use slimy, shady tactics?
Same on the Lazar tape he did. He just took George's UFO, the best evidence effort back in the early 90s, stole every idea out of it and turned it into an amateur fuckwit fest. People had been starved for some Bob Lazar for so long that it was deemed a success. The bottom line is that on these 2 projects alone, Corbell is a complete fraud. And that's not to mention all the bullshit that he's done since then.
Oh boy, this is spicy. I love it. It's so spicy. I love it.
Of course, you already know about George having to loan him the money for his house payments because he was so broke before his premiere down in SoCal. He also put just short of $70,000 on a credit card, probably his mom's credit card, as no credit card company would float Corbell that kind of money on a credit card, to employ Mickey Rourke as the narrator, of all things. Well,
interesting. So does that mean Mickey Rourke got paid $70,000 to do that garbled garbage voiceover in Jeremy Corbell's garbage film? Interesting.
Is nothing if not a star fucker, right? This is Gene Huff's words, not mine. Again, I'm just reading the email.
And by the way, it looks like Alien Scientist has hundreds of emails with Gene Huff. This is awesome. I hope he releases all of them.
Did I tell you that on about the 3rd meeting at George's house back at the advent of all this, before I realized that this punk Corbell was trying to schmooze up to me to be in his video, but I refused on the following grounds. Bob is the UFO messiah. George is the guy who brought his story public. I was one of the very few people who know Bob both before, during, and after S4. So all of those facts were understandable. But then I added that Corbell was nothing and didn't deserve to have me in anything. This crushed Corbell to the point that he asked George to intervene on his behalf. I again told George that this punk was nothing, which is...
Oh, man, Gene Huff is not a fan of Jeremy Corbell. Spicy.
Still true. Coincidentally, before I shut him down for good, Corbell tried to make me some psilocybin mushrooms from a big bag of them. Oh, he tried to offer him a bunch of psilocybin mushrooms. So yeah, here, Gene Huff, take some magic mushrooms. I declined, and while I knew people were doing mushrooms 50 years ago, no one ever offered me any on the third time I ever met them. So George and I and George's wife, Anna, turned him down, and he ate mushrooms right in front of all of us. I'm sure you can tell how much that bolstered his abilities to me. If he doesn't even have that much decorum, he really shouldn't be taken out in public. So I'm on YouTube and watching the George Knapp episode program, or at least part 1. And George Knapp was good, but his memory is slipping a bit now that he's in his 70s, which I am now too. And when he slips, it's usually about something that happened before he was involved. He's been around a long time, so it seems like he was always involved. But he only came up on the scene when Bob went public.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So Gene Huff is essentially saying, like, I know the whole story before it, and Knapp and Corbell don't.
Right. Gene Huff was friends with Bob and John Lear for like the months before that. So he knows way more about the story than Corbell and George Knapp. He was not around for the entire set of the events from the advent to the sudden end of his particular episode of Bob Lazar's life. And sometimes it gripes George's ass when I correct him, but I was there and he wasn't. In fact, I'm just getting ready now to contact him and correct him again. George and Corbell do not know what I told you about us seeing the disc either cloak itself or jump miles to the southwest. So this is about his other email to me. I asked him about the video where they filmed out of Tickaboo Peak when he hiked up there with Bob's wife, and John Lear. George Knapp wasn't involved in any of the story at all before this. So Gene Huff was there for all this.
Yeah, so interesting. And by the way, I have added this video, Alien Scientist video, to the description of our video or podcast here, if you'd like to watch this in its entirety without me ranting over it.
So he testifies that footage was real. It wasn't Janet flights that they got it. They saw a real UFO and then it teleported and jumped on camera. So Gene Huff's testified that, and you know what? I want to have Gene on because he said that he believes Bob and he supports the story and he wants to tell more, but he's got more stuff to share. He doesn't know if he should, when he can, but man, this is the guy that could crack the whole Bob Lazar story, bro.
And I agree with that.
Gene freaking Huff. And this is just hilarious insider information because he was there for all this when Corbell was making his impact and debut on the scene. So he could tell you all about it. We're gonna get into it tonight, folks. So please share. Let's keep going with this. This is great.
This is great. This is so spicy. I love it.
If you hadn't seen already and recognize that movement, that they don't even know it happened, but as you know, presuming I'm telling the truth, and I am, Bob just could have affected the event.
I agree.
Bob just couldn't have affected that event. So he thinks that was real when Bob took him up there and they saw that shit. So that might have been the proton beam thing that they were testing, according to Tom Hood. He says that
I agree.
Explain why this light.
I think it was Janet flights
and come back. It's a laser beam. Not sure about that proton beam, but it's all. This is again speculation and witness testimony. Take it as you will. In fact, I've really been thinking about that night lately. This was the only time he saw the disc out by the Highway 375, and then in 2 jumps, it comes right down by us. Then I wonder if someone in the craft or remotely sees what the craft was seeing, like through a remote camera. And they saw us down there and said, holy shit, there's people in a car down there, and they've got cameras and a video camera and telescoped out. And whoever was in charge said, we'll get the fuck out of there. And they powered up and split. But it's a pretty good coincidence that all of that happened that night. Well, that's interesting. I don't know, man. Also on YouTube was the original On the Record, which public service program hosted by George Knapp when his guest was John Lear. This was before Bob and I met Lear.
Yeah, and this gets interesting as well.
So Gene already knew Bob, and this was before Bob met John Lear. I saw Lear on this show, and it started it all. And that started it all. Ooh, that's an interesting statement. He saw him on the show and it started it all. This was in 1988, roughly 30 years before John's demise. And I sent Bob an email about it because John looked great, sounded great. And as none of us knew yet how crazy and full of shit he was, Bob agreed, but we do miss him because he was always so entertaining.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
He enjoyed conveying things he really believed in, equally with simply lying and making shit up. He's talking about John Lear. He always said he loved to stir the pot, and that his day wasn't made until he ruined somebody else's. What a character! So that was John Lear for you. I have about 3 screenplays worth of notes on my phone, excluding my Bob Lazar screenplay, and I've been thinking that I should start keeping notes on a book about all of this. When I write you, I'm always so verbose, but I'm thinking other people would love this type of perspective and info. What are your thoughts? Should I do this? What are your thoughts? Should Gene Huff do?
Oh, I would, regardless of whether he believes Bob Lazar's story is true. But I think you do have to take into account that Gene Huff was literally in on the money with the Bob Lazar story at the very beginning for quite a while.
Do this? Are you like what you're hearing so far? Is this good information, good intel? Let me know what you think. A friend of mine just joined me who is actually a personal friend of John Lear's. He knew John Lear. Solar.
All right. That's pretty much it. And I apologize, but I'm not going to share any more of that because, it's a long story. Wouldn't want to say somebody's name and, invoke the wrath of somebody. So interesting that, like I said, the gloves are coming off. And Corbell, Knapp, and really all of these Grift Squad members are going to have a lot harder time selling their lies, their completely and totally fake stories, their manufactured mysteries with a lot of people that are very skeptical are taking the gloves off. And I really think that it's about time. People are sick of this Grift Squad stuff. People are sick of this manipulated, reality that these people are trying to push. Interesting. I'll take some comments and questions. Steve Long is here. Stephen, Huff was an investor in Bob's BS career and is only chasing more publicity and money. Truth is irrelevant to these guys. I don't know if I would believe what Gene Huff would have to say in a book or an interview, but I can't lie. I've been following this story since 1989, and especially if there was new information I hadn't heard before, I'd hear him out. I'd at least listen to him, right? I'd at least listen to the guy. Interesting stories I'm sure he has to tell. I suspect, says Jason Parker, that George likes to drink and play poker in Vegas. Oh, that reminds me. I have one more thing to share. When I said the gloves are coming off against these guys, oh boy. Now, there's a whole conspiracy theory about this next piece, which I will share with you. And I want to thank this person. I've been following this person. You can see I'm following them. There is some crazy information that is being dropped about Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. It's coming from an account on Twitter at Disclosure King. And oh boy, talk about spicy. Some of this stuff is too spicy even to share on YouTube. So this account at Disclosure King, whoever it is, okay, so there's a whole conspiracy already around who is the Disclosure King, because whoever this person is, and I have my own theory, but I'm not going to share it because it's pure speculation. Whoever this Disclosure King at Disclosure King on Twitter account is, by the way, that wonderful video we started tonight's broadcast with, we shared in the spirit of fair use. It's from his Twitter account. Anyway, whoever this Disclosure King is, they know all of the sordid details. They know the sins of Corbell and Knapp and a long, long history of shady shit that these people have been involved in. Did George Knapp drive Art Bell to suicide? And by the way, I'm just sharing a publicly, this stuff is all publicly available on Twitter at Disclosure King. Some of it's so spicy, I'm not going to share it because I haven't specifically verified these stories to be accurate or true. So I'm not vouching for their authenticity. Yeah. So apparently, John Lear says, you and I will never know the final thoughts that drove Art to take his own life, but I suspect that it had something to do with an affair he was having and someone was threatening to expose. George Knapp has unethically exposed people he knows in the past for his own benefit, including exposed news colleague and weatherman John Fredericks, destroying his career in 2009 and leading to his death. Knapp ran stories on Lear's daughter. So Knapp also tried to get the Las Vegas constable fired, who was Lear's boss, since 2015, and exposing him using the same news publications, who just so happened to be related to the woman that accused Knapp's in-laws of sexual abuse of a child. George Knapp had a Bob Lazar book coming in 2019. Jeremy Corbell had Bob Lazar movie premiere in December 2018, needed to remove Art Bell and John Lear from the scene. And apparently Art Bell's producer called George Knapp a vulture 6 days after his death. Could that be because George Knapp was trying to get that Coast to Coast gig, right? That he did end up getting, right? Isn't he still like on Coast to Coast once a week or whatever? This is some spicy shit that is coming out about these people. And again, I can't, I'm not going to vouch for the authenticity of this stuff, but it appears that some of this checks out. I have done a little bit of checking and we'll detail some of that. George Knapp evicts John Lear's daughter from home, then helps his wife get a divorce. Good friends have turned into enemies, which I would never have expected, says John Lear, September 19th, 2019. Content of character matters. And there's some posts from John Lear that apparently seem to support these accusations against Mr. Knapp. Very, very interesting. But the one that I was able to sort of verify was this one. You remember when George Knapp calls the article that detailed Grusch's alcoholism a slime job? Well, apparently, according to Disclosure King, George Knapp did his own slime job on a coworker weatherman in 2009, revealing his drunk voicemails and alcoholism on air. And apparently, this person sued George Knapp and the television station. And we were able to verify that that lawsuit took place. But it's very odd if you look at the court documents. Like, it started years ago, and the last time that case was updated was 2018. So I'm not really sure what is going on with that. But bear with me one moment. I'm having trouble. No, it's not going to let me. All right, 1 second here. Let's try this another way. You'll have to please bear with me for just a moment. I happen to be visually impaired, for those unaware, so sometimes I struggle with some things like this. So just give me one moment, and I'll open it up a different way, and we should be able to decipher this. I feel like an old man when this happens. I apologize. One moment. Let me share this a different way. All right. Former longtime KVBC Channel 3 weatherman John Fredericks has filed a lawsuit against KLS TV and I-Team reporter George Knapp, seeking to prevent the Valley's CBS affiliate from broadcasting any stories related to him or posting them on Channel 8's website. Fredericks late last year was the subject of a couple of reports from Knapp regarding Fredericks and Ray, who accused him of leaving scores of bizarre comments on her voicemail after she broke off their relationship. Knapp played parts of several messages on the air. The day after the broadcast, Knapp said on air that Fredericks told him the harassing phone calls were the result of his alcohol dependency. So what, George Knapp is accusing other people of doing slime jobs because they show that David Grusch had alcohol-related problems. What's he doing? Doing the very same thing and getting sued for it. Journal columnist Steve Bornfield, who writes about the media, was critical of Knapp and KLS, writing that the story had no news value. Weatherman died 3 years later from alcoholism after a career destroyed by George Knapp. What kind of a slime job was this? He ended up with a job cleaning 150 cat litter boxes every morning that paid $9 an hour. He lived in a trailer with no heat or water, sleeping in a sleeping bag. He led a tortured life, says KSNV morning show host Dana Wagner, a close friend of Fredericks. He was orphaned at 18. The people he loved left him. The only thing he could really count on was Jordan. So isn't it interesting that George Knapp has accused other people of doing slime jobs? You can't attack a man for having alcohol-related problems. He attacked a man for having alcohol-related problems. Literally, apparently, allegedly, that man committed suicide after his career was destroyed, apparently, by these broadcasts by George Knapp. Now, interestingly, I said I can't verify the authenticity of all of these stories on this Disclosure King's website. However, there are some parts of what this Disclosure King is posting. I'm still looking into them. But as of the time of this broadcast, this story, at least that this person sued George Knapp, we're able to verify. Unfortunately, the court documents are behind a paywall. But we're going to see what we can do about that. 1 second, I'm just going to share my screen to show you that, yes, John Fredericks, plaintiff, versus George Knapp, defendants. Interesting. But here's what's weird. It was filed March 23rd in 2010, right? And if we look at the whole docket, it was updated November 23rd, 2020. So I don't know if this case has just been sitting in legal limbo. But we were able to find this. I'm going to try to get the court documents. Case last refreshed 3 years ago. So this is behind one of those court document paywalls. But we're going to get the court documents, and we're going to detail for you who sued George Knapp and why. And we're going to bring you all those details. I just think it's interesting that George Knapp, playing, what a hypocrite, playing the, you can't attack a man for alcoholism card. When people revealed that about Grusch, well, apparently if that was a slime job, then this was a real slime job because it caused a man to lose his entire career and suicide himself, unalive himself. I always forget YouTube doesn't like that word, the algorithm. I don't know. So let me know what you think in the comments. Should we pay the money or whatever we have to do, get the court documents, and do a show on this lawsuit against George Knapp? Like I said, friends, it appears that the gloves are coming off. Now, back to the conspiracy of Disclosure King. Boy, there's a whole conspiracy. Who is this guy? How does he know all of this dirt on George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell? And also, on that very same Twitter account, that person is posting all of these suspicious links between the UFO community and Scientology. It's an incredible amount of people involved in the UFO community that are also involved in Scientology, which I guess should come as no surprise since Scientologies are kind of nutbags like UFO people, and they believe in the Xanadu alien and the, all of that stuff. It's a science fiction religion. So it would make sense that people into a science fiction religion would also be in the UFO community. But we've got details. Joe Murgia, that clown, he's got family in Scientology. Christopher Mellon, his brother involved in Scientology, and on and on and on. There's so many links between Scientology and the UFO community, which kind of really does bring things into perspective for me, because the tactics that these UFO grift squad members use to go after their critics could just as easily be described as the very same tactics that Scientology people use to go after their critics. It's called fair game. Look it up. Essentially, you do whatever you have to do to destroy your critics, right? Float rumors about them being, predators or sex fiends, whatever you have to do. And this is the same behavior that we've seen in the UFO community. It is just incredible to me. Patty Wilhelm is here and says Scientologists are vindictive. Yeah, it appears so. Jester X is here and says, hey guys, almost 100 people need to hit the like button. Yeah, listen, there's several ways that you can help the show. We've had one whole super chat tonight. We thank I'm Not Here, This Isn't Happening. You can also, one way to help that costs nothing at all, is to smash that like button. And if you're not already, please hit the subscribe button. We try to bring you information that nobody else really has or is talking about. We try to peel back the layers of deception and bring you the truth behind these manufactured, largely fake stories and personalities. I'd appreciate a like and a follow or whatever on Instagram. It's at Truthseekers Show. You can follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion, or on Facebook, just Stephen Cambion, or go over to Facebook and search for Truthseekers. You'll find our page over there where we post everything. You can also visit our website, truthseekershow.com, and get all the latest audio and video versions of our show there at Truthseeker Show. One Truth Seeker, the word show, but all one word, truthseekershow.com. And we appreciate your support. One of the ways you can support us is just smash that like button. It really does help. Apparently, YouTube likes engagement. They'll recommend this video to more people. For those unaware, we read every single super chat. And we thank every single person for those PayPal pledges. It really does help to support the show. We love and appreciate all of you people. It warms my heart. There's people all over the world throwing a couple of bucks in our hat and keeping us honest. I don't want to sell out, but we are talking about maybe we'll do like Grift Month, where we just grift all month for a full-on month. I'll come up with some Bigfoot videos and UFO videos, and yeah, we might have Grift Month. Like we're gonna have to do something, because apparently, I don't know why, YouTube keeps yelling at me. Like the income here is way down. It's a couple $100 down. I don't know what happened. But I am aware that, people seem to come and go from the show here. A lot of people come here when they're just waking up, taking that second pill, realizing they've been lied to, deceived by the so-called truther community. These UFO disclosure people are shady as hell and aren't really what they pretend to be. And sometimes people, they wake up, they get the message, and they're on to other things. And by the way, I still hear from some of them. God bless everybody that gets out of the UFO rabbit hole. I don't know. I just heard weird reads by Emily Louise say something like, I just can't help myself. Like, if it's some wacky alien stuff, I got to watch it. I can't help it. I'm kind of like that. I don't know what it is. It's like, I can't stop. I'm just stuck here. But you don't have to be. And, lately I've been thinking that there's an awful lot of other things that people can do with their time instead of consuming all this content. Not that I want to recommend people don't consume mine, but, we've only got a few short months of winter left. And I, for one, cannot wait until spring. I'll be building a brand new cabin, log cabin, by the way, in the middle of a beautiful forest. I can't tell you, I'm like raring to go. I may start building some things in my garage here at home just to prepare, so that when the cabin, the four walls and the roof and the door are on and the windows are in, when the cabin is more or less ready, the floor's done, I'm going to need some things like a table, like some chairs, like some kitchen cabinetry. I think I'm going to start building that stuff in my garage just so that I get ahead of it. So in the springtime, hopefully I'll build this tiny cabin in the woods. Then I'll move all my stuff that I've got, pre-done in the garage. We're going to need like a kitchen cabinet, someplace to store things, some storage, maybe some shelves. I don't know. But I've been thinking lately that it's very good to step away from conspiracy land and just get your mind out of this stuff and do something else that you enjoy. I hope that you have something else you enjoy. Yeah. Mr. Ian with a great comment. We get 70 years on average. That's 365 times 70, or 25,550 days. What a way to break it down. Yeah. Time is our most valuable resource, and I want to thank each and every one of you for spending some time here with me. I truly appreciate it. No place I'd rather be except maybe building a cabin, right? But it's too cold, and there's 4 feet of snow out there. My cabin land is in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. I went looking for Bigfoot once, says Jester X, and I live in Ireland. That's interesting. Is there Bigfoot? Are there Bigfoot? I always never know. What's the plural of Bigfoot? It's not big feet. Bigfoots. It's either Bigfoots or big feet. Is there big feet or Bigfoots in Ireland? I never heard of Irish Bigfoot. Could you imagine that? They're probably drunk, Jester X. If there's Irish Bigfoot, he's drunk, right? And I'm allowed to say that because I'm half Irish. My mother was Irish, and boy, was she Irish. She was. Yeah, my mother used to do a magic trick. Every night she would turn the corner and turn into a bar, right? Yeah, my mom was an Irish lady and a drinker, so I'm allowed to make fun of that. We always make fun of our tragedies in life. Isn't that interesting? I'll take some comments and questions from the live chat. Please put them in all capital letters. I think that'll pretty much conclude our presentation for this evening. I will add that Twitter account. It's @DisclosureKing. I'm going to add that to the description of this video or podcast. We've added Jeremy Rise, Alien Scientist video as well. And I guess I should also add Dark Journalist, but he certainly doesn't need a bump from me, but we should, just to be thorough, still include it. We do try to put whatever material we're using in the description of the video so that people can get that content. I'll just put content shared from Twitter account. And that's @DisclosureKing, which is a good, no, it won't do it. @DisclosureKing on Twitter, X. Okay. And I'm going to go find, I apologize. I'm a terrible show host. I should have did this stuff before the show, but I don't know about you. I had a very busy day. And John from the Black Vault as well. So I've got Dark Journalist. I'll put that in there, and then we will also add John from the Black Vault's channel to the description of this video. So if you're not, most people watching me are already aware of John and his wonderful work over. I swear, I was on the Black Vault before MySpace, right? That's how long he's been around. He started when he was 14 years old doing this. God bless John from the Black Vault. I'm just going to put Dark Journalist video here. And one last one here. We'll go over and find the Black Vault. And we I'm going to try better to do this before the show. I apologize. What can I say? I'm a terrible show host. Very busy day. It's called Black Vault Originals. I'll put that in the description of the video as well. Like I said, these people are not, a lot of people, it seems like the gloves are coming off and the grift may have, a limited shelf life. I'm telling you, all these grifters are losing their goddamn minds. First, Orchard goes away, so a huge source of all their income is gone. Now, all the lies that they've been telling people for years are all becoming unraveled here. It's great. I love it. You know, a little bit of vindication is good sometimes. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm, you know, shouting into a void here, or that perhaps we don't get the credit that we should get for calling things the right way. And what about all those UFO circle jerk shows? Do you know what they're doing right now? They're all making excuses and attacking Sean Kirkpatrick and doing mental gymnastics to try to stay in their delusional fantasy world where these shady, scummy scumbags are some kind of heroes. These aren't heroes. They're dirtball scumbags that lie to people for money. That's how this works. In case you were curious, right? But I love that all these people that got the entire story wrong, you know, they were wrong about Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon. They're wrong about Gary Nolan and Ross Coulthard. They're wrong about the Wilson notes. They were wrong about Eric Davis having any real information. Wrong about Bob Lazar. Wrong about Jeremy Corbell. Wrong about George Knapp. Wrong about Grusch, right? And what do they do now? Well, just make excuses, right? We'll shoot the messenger. Kirkpatrick's part of the cover-up. It's ridiculous. Listen, the whole grift is unraveling. And you people either got to have your come to Jesus moment where you realize you were deceived, manipulated into helping grifters fill their pockets with every goddamn UFO dollar they could find, or you got to continue down that dark, dangerous path where you're going to do all the mental gymnastics you have to, make excuses for the grift squad, right? Come up with reasons why we should still trust these people that keep getting caught lying to us over and over and over and over and over again. No, I don't think so. And all these UFO circle jerk shows, congratulations. You were part of their plan. You were a weak-minded idiot that they could manipulate to do their circle jerk so that they could sell more stupid people their wares. And it's all unraveling. And like I said, I wish I could say more, and I will as soon as I can. There's a lot more coming. If you thought this last week peeled back some of these layers of deception and let you see people for what they really are, oh my God, I can't wait for you to see what's coming next. It's going to be glorious, and we're going to be part of bringing that information to you. All right. Mr. Ian says it's easier to fool people than to convince people they have been fooled. Can't say I disagree, right? Black Vault link is wrong. Is it? Why is that? Here. I'm just going to share his video then. I don't know why, but sometimes I have a problem with that. I'm just going to share his video. It should be there momentarily. Let me know if that works for you. Let me check it myself. Thank you for letting me know. We don't want to not give people the right way to reach these people, right? I'm just going to share the video that we shared. Platforming the BS. That's one of the, yeah. So that'll do it. All right. Thank you for letting me know. I apologize for that. Links are okay, Stephen. I just have to go directly to his channel to share them. Yeah. Okay. Great. Michael B is here and says they are always playing Ookie Kookie, and it's time for them to eat their cookie. Ookie Cookie. Okay. Link works for me. Listen, if you don't know how to work a link, please don't tell me that the link is bad. Some help you guys are, right? Well, regardless, I shared a link to one of John's videos about skepticism. You can find his whole channel there and the video that we shared. Dan X is here and says, yes, George and I spoke on the phone for hours about Bob Lazar. Just wait till you hear it. People will be shocked. Okay, if you say so. Arden changed it. I don't think Arden can change the links in the description of the video. Only I can do that, but thank you. And I want to just announce that two of our moderators, Spooky and also Thin Lizzy, are going to be doing a project to clip useful sections out of our live show here, and we'll be hosting them on TikTok and as shorts here. That'll happen very soon. Maybe that'll make up for the apparent couple $100 a month revenue loss. I don't know. YouTube keeps yelling at me. When I look at the analytics, it's like lower than usual. And I go, what happened? And it's way lower. So get out your wallets, bitches. Because, come on. We can't go backwards here. Yeah, I'm already at Taco Bell wages. What do you want me to go to, I don't know, orange picker wages, under minimum wage? This shit is not fair, right? But that's the truth tax. If I was to just sell you a bunch of, beautiful lies, alien fantasies, we'd be making bank here, right? We'd be making bank, right? Unfortunately, I like to be able to sleep at night and look at my wife and children and know that I'm a good person. I don't want to be a grifter, but we may do Grift Month. I'm reserving the right. For those unaware, I've come up with this concept called Grift Month. And in order to raise funds for the show where we do things the right way and give people the actual truth, right? What we may do is something that I have called Grift Month. And that means, let's say we don't want to do it in February. That's a short month. We'll do it in May because that's 31 days, right? We'll have 31 days to grift our asses off. Fake videos, CGI. Come on, you assholes. Start sending me some fake. Oh, Mr. Ian, start making fake UFO videos. I know you're good at that shit. You did it for third phase, right? We need some fake Bigfoot videos. I've got to have some alien videos. We need some fake whistleblowers. We need some fake government insiders, secret space clowns, super soldiers. Come on, man. And what we'll do is, for the entire month, I don't know if it's going to be May or what. I'm going to look at the calendar. But anyway, the concept is Grift Month. And the concept is we're going to grift our asses off. No limits, man. We're going to grift like Third Phase of Moon and Goof On. We're going to grift like Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. We're going to grift like Linda Moulton Howe or Stephen Greer. We got to come up with an app to sell during Grift Month where you too can talk to aliens. We're going to put this thing together. And so we'll grift our asses off for an entire month straight. And in that month, I believe we will make enough money being grifters for 1 month that we can cover the rest of the year, the other 11 months expenses for our show doing things the right way. And look, you're going to have to forgive me. It's hard to compete in this space without grifting. But I think, look, can you let me grift for 1 month and make the money like everybody else and see how this other half lives? And by the way, I think this will be an interesting social experiment. I'm going to the dark side, the grifty side, right? Maybe I could buy a $1.8 million mansion like Jeremy Corbell, right? Maybe I could buy a $135,000 SUV. By the way, I'm flexing my manifesting muscles. I don't need a $135,000 SUV, but I do desperately, maybe not desperately, but really need a four-wheel drive vehicle for my land at the cabin. The road is inaccessible by anything but a four-wheel drive vehicle. I got to walk there. It's 3 or 4 miles from the other cabin. I have to walk 4 miles to go build the next cabin. Then I got to walk back, right? I mean, I did take a mountain bike, bicycle a few times. That's a little easier, but I just need like an old beat up $1,500 four-wheel drive truck or Jeep, well, probably $3,000 today. There's no $1,500 cars anymore, right? Dan X says, this show seems crazy, wild and crazy. Well, sometimes, come on, man. Grift Month is a great idea. This solves all our problems. Then, if I ever am tempted to do grifty, scammy things, I just can set it aside and save it for Grift Month, right? Like, what if there's a guest and I'm like, wow, this guest is really grifty. Put them on Grift Month. Let them tell their fake stories. Who cares? It's Grift Month. This is a good idea. I think we're going to do this. We're going to do Grift Month, right? All right, Truthseekers. Then wealthy in dishonesty towards my fellow man, I meant. I'm sorry, I missed the first half. Oh, look at that. Car Tot. Oh, I remember you, and I apologize again. Every time Car Tot sends me a super chat, I apologize because we started off on the wrong foot. I can't remember what happened, but I was very nasty to Car Tot, and I apologize several times for it and continue to apologize. I don't even remember. You know what's funny, Car Tot? I don't even remember what we were fighting about or what you said to me that kind of triggered me, so I apologize. Thanks for being a great show supporter. Car Tot with a kind and generous $4.99 super sticker, which just goes, I learned a lesson, like to keep your mouth shut and don't say nasty things to somebody unless you absolutely have to, or, feel completely and totally like you don't have another choice. Be kind, rewind, all that stuff. Thank you, Car Tot, for helping us to praise the cash, bitches.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Let me know in the comments or in the live chat, what do you guys think of the concept of Grift Month? I think it's a good idea. Garaji is here. Thanks for being a member. Says Grift Month. Steven talks about his recent abduction experience. Oh, yeah, I could just make up anything. It's Grift Month. It's awesome. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Anthony Peterson is here, throwing a couple of bucks in our hat. $2 for your Element 114 fund. It's expensive. Well, thank you for kindness, generosity, and support. Longtime show supporter. Always great to see you, Anthony Peterson. I'm glad you're still around. Thank you for being a great supporter of the show.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
I always forget to do this. I get the notifications both on my phone and on the PC. So, yeah, and I had to talk to Mr. Ian because Mr. Ian's like, Jesus God, like, good for him for being so creative, but geez, what is this? What are you sending me? Oh, this is interesting. Texas National Guard appears to be marching to the border to counter federal mandates. Several other red states, such as Florida and Oklahoma, have said they will stand by Texas in fighting against Biden's border policy. Oh, holy shit. Well, that's great. We might be going to civil war. I'm just going to share this on my Twitter. Several red states, such as Florida and Oklahoma, have said they will stand by Texas in fighting against Biden's border policies. Federal mandates are enforced by the U.S. Army, but the National Guard serves both the federal government and the state. Things are getting concerning. Wow, look at that. Here they are marching. Well, listen, I'm sharing this just because it's newsworthy happening. Somebody just sent me this, but I try to stay out of politics. But here's what I will say. Anybody who claims that the current administration is doing a good job on the border, I'm sorry. There's no way to defend what's happening down there. But we try to stay out of politics. By the way, I'm a huge supporter of them coming up with a solution. What do I mean? Well, listen, I worked on a farm as a child, and every year the migrant Mexican workers would come in and pick the crop. And I got to know those Mexican families, and I really liked them. They were very kind, hardworking people. They did this terrible job. Do you ever pick blueberries all day in the hot sun? Go try it. They would go pick buckets and buckets of blueberries for 10 hours a day. You go try that. There's so many jobs in this country that, Americans are too prissy to do, or we don't want to do them. Let those people in here. Give them citizenship. Give them work visas. Make it easy for them to come here. You got to do something. They have to fix this. It's a mess down there. I don't know what the solution is, but one solution could be make it super simple for them to come here and get jobs and work, right? Then you won't have the problem of illegals. Also, here's another idea to stop illegal immigration and encourage legal immigration. Give any company that gets caught hiring an illegal alien or employing an illegal alien, give them a $300,000 fine per person. Watch that shit stop overnight, right? And by the way, like I said, growing up, I got to know a lot of Mexican families. They would invite me to dinner. They had a bunkhouse at this farm where they stayed, and people would, They had enchiladas and tacos, man. It was wonderful. And they were such nice people. And by the way, in many cases, the entire family was there working. The children, the mothers, the fathers, the grandparents, 3 generations out there doing things like picking blueberries all day, things that normal Americans won't do, right? Yeah, we think so. Isn't that interesting? Oh boy. Civil War? Oh, people have been talking about that for a while. Always lurking, says Sandy Smith. Well, thanks for 2 things. Thanks for being a member, and thanks for the 5 spot. We appreciate you. Thanks for appreciating us. Here's praise the cash and a thank you both for Sandy Smith, who's a member, and all of you YouTube channel members, and all of you Patreon supporters. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for appreciating what we do here.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Yeah, and for those unaware, I do still have some new Cash Clown bumpers coming, but we have to negotiate. My son wants a contract. Have you heard this shit? He gave me a contract surrounding tickling because, it's funny. I like to grab him and hold him upside down and tickle him. And he decided that I'm only allowed to tickle him on certain days. And he actually just gave me a written contract. Like, you can tickle me on this day and this day, but only once or something. It's crazy. But in order to do the new Cash Clown bumpers, he wants a raise or so, I don't know. I got to negotiate with a 7-year-old. It's awesome. But I did allow him to help with the show so he could learn a little bit about business and things like that. Looks like he's working. It's working. Thank you, Sandy. Dan X, when I lived in Las Vegas, you would have thought old Robert Lazar was a freaking rock star. Well, that's interesting. Please put all comments and questions for Stephen in all caps. Yeah, we're going to be wrapping things up. Tell your son he's under 18 and lacks the capacity to make contracts. Good idea. Good idea. That's definitely a good idea. He's a little Sheldon. Yeah. He's like trying to figure out what he could get, He said something to me like, you really need the new ones done, don't you? Like, he's trying to get leverage so that he has a better negotiating position. He's 7 years old. This is some bullshit, right? Thank you, Daisy B. By the way, did you get your lights from Kmart? Because next week I could use you to do that show on multi-level marketing scams and things like that. Please message me or let me know on Discord or Instagram. I'd appreciate it. Knowing how to read and write in that format is invaluable. Yeah, maybe. End of line 1. Thanks for being a member. When you do Grift Month, you can just get new memories every week. I'm not sure I understand what you're communicating here. When you do Grift Month, you can just get new memories every week. Oh, I've recovered another memory. Absolutely. We're going to have to come up with a clever way to disguise Grift Month on the graphics and things, Well, I got a great interview with Eugene Huff. Wait till you all hear it. My sister-in-law real well. They both worked in real estate. Jester X. If you say so, I don't think he's giving interviews. And if he did, considering he's very friendly with alien scientists, I'm not aware of anybody having an interview with him. Dan X. And your channel has no content. So, okay. Yeah, so we've done our due diligence, friends. Listen, in wrapping things up, what I will say is that there's going to be some major shakeups in conspiracy land in the next couple of months. And more about this entire Grift Squad operation is going to be revealed. And it's not going to paint these people in a very good light. So I have some advice for all you UFO circle jerkers. If you think you look like a stupid asshole for supporting these grifting, scamming scumbags for this long, you better jump ship right now, rat. Because if you don't, you're going to look even worse in the coming months when more comes out. you're gonna look like a useful idiot that helped all these grifters sell their nonsense. Now's a good time, rat. Jump off that sinking ship, because it's sinking and it's going to get worse. And I love that these people are freaking out. Melon and Elizondo, they're freaking out. The whole grift is coming down. And by the way, I just want to say it one more time to put it on the record. If Luis Elizondo markets his book claiming that he ran a Pentagon UFO program or was the director of a Pentagon UFO program, we've got a plan. We've got a plan for that. So I can't wait. You better figure out how you're going to market that book without lying, Lou Elizondo, because if you lie in the marketing materials or lead up to that book like you lied to the New York Times, it's going to be a problem for you. It's just a prediction too, by the way. Haven't worked out the details of what we're going to do. By the way, it's going to be for a story for our show here, but I think it will be a very interesting experiment into whether somebody can lie to sell a book or not. And we're going to see what happens. I'm doing it. I decided I'm 100% all chips in on this other idea, right? Well, be happy to review that material. You know, I'm going to try to make a Bob Lazar documentary, Bob Lazar, the rest of the story. So you should email me. I could use more material for that. Yeah. So the Grift Squad is running. They're hiding. We saw tonight that Jeremy Corbell has to actively stop people from talking to people in order to keep the grift going. He has to actively ban anybody that tells people the truth about Bob Lazar, which shows what an intellectual weakling and coward he is. It really shows that these are slime balls. These people are not good people, right? And by the way, we have a free speech zone here. We don't ban, block, mute anybody unless we absolutely positively have to. Now on Twitter, sometimes people just get, you know, if you send me 85 messages, you know, that are vile and disgusting, I'm going to block you. I'm not. While I do support free speech and we make it a point here that we have a free speech zone, I'm not going to take like abusive, crazy people. Those people get blocked. But if you tell me I'm wrong about something and you want to debate it or whatever, that's fine. And these Grift Squad members, they can't do it. Linda Moulton Hale censors chats. Corey Good censors chats. David Wilcock used to censor chats. Now his wife's gone. He can't do that. All these people live in an echo chamber. Jeremy Corbell has to block anybody telling people the truth about his fake stories that are coming crashing down. You know, there's a reason they have to do that. And it's not because they're honest, hardworking people. It's because they're scumbags, in my opinion. Right? So what can I say, friends? We've done our due diligence. Now I have to hurry up and try to find this Regrifter song. Why can I never find it? And by the way, we want to thank Simon Fly, who does some incredible music videos, which we frequently use here. And of course, we want to thank our chat room moderators. You should join our Discord server. If you like these chats, which take place, you know, they take place more than just when we're broadcasting live. If you like these live, you know, shows, you can chat with like-minded individuals 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on our Discord. We just added a recipe section of all things. I'm like, we're all conspiracy people. Do we really need a recipe section? But people started talking about great recipes in the general chat. So anyway, the Discord is a great place. We invite all of you. That's another free speech zone. Yeah, so we thank each and every one of you for joining us. I'm going to do the great YouTube thing and remind you one more time. If you haven't already, please do like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. If you're listening on an audio podcast, please rate the podcast 5 stars. It really helps us find more viewers. And we thank each and every one of you for joining us. We thank you, kind and generous benefactors, you Patreon supporters, you channel members, you PayPal pledgers, you super chatters, super thanks, super sticker people, and Twitch subscribers as well. We thank everybody for every bit of support. What can I say? I am blessed. And I am so blessed, and I will continue to be blessed. Thank you for blessing me. I bless all of you every night. So listen, I'll be back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We're going to have an even spicier one for you. This is going to be an Evel Knievel show. Somebody asked me, because I've used that term several times, what the hell is an Evel Knievel show? Here's the thing. Evel Knievel, daredevil stuntman extraordinaire, would make these crazy jumps, and people would show up. But the truth is that a lot of people would show up to see him make the jump. Other people would show up to see him crash and burn. And sometimes we do a show here where I'm like, I'll take the jump, but I don't know what the hell is going to happen. This whole show could come crashing, burning down. Anyway, you may be familiar with the old documentary called The Alien Interview with the character of Victor. So there's a man named Jon Stewart's been researching this, trying to make a documentary about that called Hunting Victor. And he has reached out to me many times. But here's the thing. I really think that I did an incredible job debunking that a few years ago. And I've lost all the materials from the first time I debunked it. And I know, like, wow, man, now I got to find all this shit again. And, you know, there's an old concept that says the amount of energy required to dispel bullshit is orders of magnitude more than it is to create it. And that's true. Hoaxers always make mistakes, and there's a lot of mistakes in that alien interview video that makes it pretty clear that this is a hoax. But in fairness to John, Mr. Stewart, I'm going to hear him out. I've got some excellent material. By the way, because of the time constraints and my inability to find all the old debunk material, I've enlisted the help of one Charlie Weiser, Like It Matters on Twitter, who already had some interesting information, and we'll be sharing it tomorrow night, talking to our guest, who is apparently an expert in this alien interview. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m., we're going to be doing this. So I would appreciate the support. I think that Mr. Stewart's heart is in the right place, but he may be very misinformed. And I've already found out that, you know, I really don't trust his level of judgment. He's running around. He just went on Redacted with this whole story about Lockheed Martin has its own crash retrieval program, and there was a firefight and people were murdered. And his source for this was somebody emailed me. And of course, he says he verified with another military source, but it's an anonymous source. So I don't know what I think about this guy, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to hear him out, and we'll try to be fair. What I do ask for tomorrow night at 9 p.m., if you do come and participate, is just be kind to the guy. I'm going to be kind to him. We should all just be kind, hear him out, but, you know, be fair but firm. You know, if you want to ask hard questions, we're going to hit him with some hard questions, and he's going to have to explain to me why this thing isn't completely and totally fake like I believe it is. I admire the guy's courage for being willing to come here and you know, duke it out with somebody that he knows is very, very skeptical. I've never done something like this, really. So it's going to be an interesting night. So yeah, that's all I got for you, except for the hope that you really do join us tomorrow, because I get it. That's such an old thing that a lot of people are going to be like, oh, that shit's so fake. Why am I going to listen to this? I kind of feel like that too, but I'm going to be here, and I hope you will be too. So that's all I got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you, including you, George Knapp, and including you, Jeremy Corbell. Every day, when I say my daily prayers, I pray that the both of you find a better way to make money than deceiving people, than lying to people. That's my prayer for you and for all of these people that are being dishonest and deceptive. And, you know, congratulations, you're making tons of money. But I just don't see any value in making a living lying to people. So I'll pray for you, and I hope they'll pray for me. So good night, and God bless all of you.
We grifters, 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 we grifters. Shape the emerging UAP narrative. Remember those words, folks. Shape the emerging UAP narrative.
Remember those words, folks.
I'm an intel guy. 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 I'm an intel guy.
We grifters, 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 we grifters.
Multiple whistleblowers.
Luis Elizondo.
Multiple whistleblowers.
Luis Elizondo.
Multiple whistleblowers.
Luis Elizondo.
Multiple whistleblowers.
Luis Elizondo.
We grifters, we grifters.
Remember those words.
We grifters, we grifters.
Remember those words.
We grifters, we grifters.
Yes.
We grifters, we grifters.
Yes.
We grifters, we grifters.
Yes.
We grifters, we grifters.
Yes. Yes.
Luis Elizondo.
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 Stands for the angel of paradise. Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white. Holographic projection, tall white physical encounters. Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white. Catastrophic disclosure. Catastrophic disclosure.
I think it's drones. Drones.
Catastrophic disclosure. Catastrophic disclosure.
I think it's drones.
Garbage peddling, hoax promoting huckster.
Holographic projection, tall white physical encounters.
Garbage peddling, hoax promoting huckster.
That stands for the angel of paradise.
Porn bots have arrived.
Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white.
I think it's drones.
Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white.
Drones.
Tall white, tall white, tall white, tall white.
Here's what I want you to do. If the Lord is speaking to you, ushers, bring some baskets down. Just leave them there. I'm not finished. I got one more point to make. This is what I want you to do. Thank you, Miss Marguerite. I brought her because I want you to understand that the work must continue. This is not a plea for money. It's a plea for partnership so that we can be what we're supposed to be. I just need 497 people to say, I'll do 300.